Hello everyone, you are on the channel Scary Story. Today I have a tale for you that will make you think twice about exploring abandoned places. It's about a group of friends, an old legend, and a structure that should have been left undisturbed. Let's begin. The town of Blackwood was small, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone else's business. It was also the kind of place that had its own ghost story, one whispered by kids on playgrounds and shared around campfires. The legend of the Dark Tower. On the edge of town, deep within the whispering woods, stood a crumbling stone tower. No one knew who built it or why. Locals said it was ancient, a remnant of a forgotten time. They also said it was cursed. The story went that anyone who climbed to the top on the night of a new moon would vanish, their soul claimed by whatever entity resided within its shadowy peak. Of course, for teenagers like Liam, Maya, Chloe, and Ben, a local curse was less a warning and more an irresistible challenge. Liam was the leader, always pushing the boundaries. Maya was the skeptic, armed with logic and a flashlight. Chloe was the believer, her backpack filled with salt, sage, and a healthy dose of fear. And Ben was just along for the ride, camera in hand, hoping to capture something supernatural for his paranormal blog. The night they chose was perfect for a haunting. A new moon, leaving the sky a starless, inky black. The air was thick and heavy, and the woods were eerily silent as they pushed through the undergrowth. After an hour of hiking, they saw it. The Dark Tower loomed over the trees, a jagged silhouette against the dark sky. It was taller than the legends described, its stone walls covered in ivy and thyme. An archway, like a gaping mouth, served as the entrance. "Well, here we are," Liam said, a nervous tremor in his voice that he tried to hide with a confident smirk. "Ready to prove the old folks wrong?" Maya shone her powerful flashlight on the entrance. "The structure looks unstable. We should be careful." Chloe clutched a small pouch of salt. "I have a bad feeling about this. A really bad feeling. Maybe we should just go back." "No way," Ben said, already filming. "This is gold. Teens brave the cursed Dark Tower. My followers will love it." Hesitantly, they stepped inside. The air immediately grew colder, and a damp, earthy smell filled their lungs. A spiral staircase, carved from the same dark stone, clung to the interior wall, winding its way up into the darkness. There were no windows, only the narrow beam of Maya's flashlight cutting through the gloom. As they began to climb, their footsteps echoed in an unsettling way, sounding like more than just 4 pairs of feet. "Did you hear that?" Chloe whispered, stopping suddenly. "It's just an echo, Chloe," Maya said, though she sounded less certain than before. They continued their ascent. The stairs were steep and worn, and the air grew progressively colder. With each level they passed. Ben kept his camera rolling, narrating their journey in a hushed, excited voice. He panned the camera across the walls, which were surprisingly bare. No carvings, no graffiti, just endless, oppressive stone. About halfway up, Liam, who was in the lead, stopped dead. "Guys, look!" He pointed his own weaker flashlight beam at the wall. There, etched into the stone, was a single, fresh scratch mark. It looked like a tally mark. "That wasn't there before," Ben said, zooming in with his camera. "I've been filming the walls the whole way up." An uneasy silence fell over the group. Maya ran her fingers over the mark. "It's recent. The dust is disturbed." "Maybe another group came up here," Liam suggested, but his voice lacked conviction. They pressed on, their bravado slowly being chipped away by the tower's oppressive atmosphere. A few flights higher, they found another mark next to the first, and then another, and another. Soon they were passing groups of 4 tally marks, scrawled into the stone at regular intervals. It's counting us," Chloe whispered, her face pale in the flashlight's glow. "That's ridiculous," Maya retorted, but she started walking faster. The air became thin and difficult to breathe. A low, humming sound began to vibrate through the stone beneath their feet, a deep, resonant frequency that made their teeth ache. The sound grew louder as they climbed higher, a mournful, ancient drone that seemed to come from the tower itself. Suddenly, Ben's camera light flickered and died. No, I just put in a new battery." He fumbled with it in the dark, but it was useless. A moment later, Liam's flashlight did the same, plunging them into near-total darkness, save for Maya's single, powerful beam. Panic started to set in. "Okay, this isn't funny anymore," Liam said, his voice shaking. "Let's go back. Now." They turned to descend, but what they saw made their blood run cold. The staircase below them was gone. Where there should have been stone steps leading down, there was only a sheer, black drop into nothingness. Maya frantically swept her flashlight beam down, but it couldn't penetrate the bottomless abyss. Trapped. They were trapped. Chloe let out a small, terrified sob. Ben was hyperventilating. Even Maya looked scared, her logical explanations failing her. "The stairs, they can't just disappear," she stammered. The humming intensified, and now it was accompanied by a new sound, a faint, wet, scraping noise. It was coming from above. Slowly, hesitantly, Maya raised her flashlight beam towards the top of the tower. The staircase ended on a small circular platform, and on that platform something was waiting. It was tall and unnaturally thin, its long limbs bent at odd angles. Its skin was the color of pale stone, and it had no discernible face, just a smooth, blank surface. It was crouched over, using a long, sharp finger to carve something into the floor. As Maya's light hit it, it stopped. Slowly, it unfurled itself, rising to a terrifying height that nearly touched the ceiling. It turned its blank face towards them, and from that featureless void, a voice echoed, not through the air, but directly inside their minds. It was a chorus of voices, layered and ancient. "You came!" The voices whispered as one, another group of 4, to complete the set. The creature pointed a long, bony finger at the floor where it had been carving. Maya's light followed its gesture. On the stone, there were hundreds, maybe thousands, of sets of tally marks, all in groups of 4. They were just the latest in a long, long line of victims. The legend was real. The creature took a step down the stairs towards them, its movements jerky and unnatural. The scraping sound started again, the sound of its stone-like claws on the steps. Liam screamed and in a blind panic tried to scramble up the wall as if he could somehow climb out. Ben fumbled for his dead camera, a useless reflex. Chloe was frozen, muttering a prayer under her breath. Maya was the first to react. "Run!" she screamed. But there was nowhere to run. They were on a narrow spiral of stone, suspended in a void. The creature descended, its eyeless face fixed upon them. The chorus of voices in their heads grew louder, a cacophony of pain and despair. The souls of everyone who had ever climbed the tower. As the creature reached for Liam, its fingers elongating like shadows, Maya did the only thing she could think of. She turned off her flashlight. Total darkness. Absolute silence. The humming stopped. The voices in their heads ceased. For a moment they floated in a sensory vacuum. Then they heard the scraping sound again, closer this time. It was hunting them by sound. Ben let out an involuntary gasp. The scraping stopped directly in front of him. A new voice entered his mind, this one singular and cold. "Found one." A wet, tearing sound echoed in the darkness, followed by a sickening thud as something heavy hit the non-existent floor far below. Ben was gone. Chloe started screaming, a raw, piercing shriek that filled the tower. The scraping sound moved with impossible speed towards the noise. Another tear, another thud, and then silence once more. Now it was just Liam and Maya, clinging to each other in the suffocating dark. They didn't dare breathe. Liam was shaking uncontrollably. He knew he was next. He could feel its presence, a cold spot in the air right beside him. He felt a phantom touch on his shoulder. He couldn't stop the whimper that escaped his lips. The scraping sound started. Maya heard Liam's final choked-off scream. She heard the final thud. And then she was alone. Utterly, completely alone in the dark with the thing that had taken her friends. She didn't move. She didn't breathe. She slowed her own heart, forcing a state of near catatonia. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The silence was absolute. Maybe it thought she was gone too. Maybe it had lost her. Hope, fragile and faint, began to bloom in her chest. She stayed perfectly still, waiting for the sun, praying for the dawn. After an eternity, she felt a slight shift in the air. A faint grey light began to filter down from the top of the tower. Morning was coming. Slowly, carefully, she opened her eyes. The staircase was back. Both above her and below her, the stone steps were there, solid and real. Trembling, she turned on her flashlight. On the wall beside her, a new set of tally marks had been carved. 4 of them, with a 5th mark scratched horizontally through them. The set was complete. Scrambling, falling, and sobbing, Maya half ran, half tumbled down the endless stairs. She burst out of the tower's entrance into the pale light of dawn and didn't stop running. She ran through the woods, thorns and branches tearing at her clothes and skin, not caring about the pain. She finally stumbled out of the woods and back into town as people were starting their day. They saw her, covered in dirt and scratches, her eyes wide with a terror no one could comprehend. She tried to tell them what happened. She spoke of the disappearing stairs, the tally marks, the faceless creature. They didn't believe her. They called her crazy, traumatized. They searched the woods, of course. They found the tower, just as she described. But they found no trace of Liam, Chloe, or Ben. Not a footprint, not a piece of clothing, not even Ben's camera. It was as if they had simply vanished from the face of the earth. Maya was sent away to a psychiatric hospital, where she spent her days drawing endless sets of tally marks over and over. She's still there. The town of Blackwood tried to forget. They tore down the dark tower, stone by stone, until nothing remained but a pile of rubble. They thought that by destroying the structure, they could destroy the curse. But sometimes, on the night of a new moon, hikers in the Whispering Woods report hearing a faint, wet, scraping sound coming from the clearing where the tower once stood, and they find fresh tally marks carved into the trees, always in groups of 4, because the tower may be gone, but the entity that lived there is not. It's just waiting for the next group of curious souls to come looking for a legend. Thanks for listening to this story on our channel. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new tale. Stay safe out there, and maybe think twice before you go exploring. See you next time.